Broadcasting from Hollywood, California, it's Grant's Rants, Hollywood Talk.
Ellen DeGeneres continues to get dragged in the press for being awful. A Vanderpump Rules editor brags about giving special edits. I took a sneak peek at the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And singer-songwriter Slayyyter is my new obsession. That and more with Christy Olson now. Let the ranting begin. I am joined by a reality TV YouTuber and the first guest of Grant's Rants Hollywood Talk, Christy Olson. Hello.
Yay, hello. I can tell you which one of those titles means more to me, Grant, and that is first ever guest of Grant's Rants podcast.
And now you're here on episode 157. We're still here.
I love it. My own intros have changed up a little bit. We've come so far.
We've plugged a lot of different projects with you. Yeah, well, this is an easy one because I'm doing 10 episodes for a streaming service of our podcast. Still doing Grant's Rants, the Real Housewives of New York recaps. Trying to keep my head on straight. So this is an easy one. I appreciate you coming here.
Yay, I'm loving it. There's a lot of good stuff, juicy things to discuss today.
And if anyone's looking to cause trouble, Christy and I we're seeing one another often. We're consistently hanging out. She's part of the small group of people that I see. So
we're in each other's pod.
Yeah.
When you don't live with families like in LA,
right.
A lot of us don't. We can have a little small group of people we know are behaving responsibly that we can expose ourselves to.
Yeah, I don't want to hear any drama about that. So she's here. Yes, she's in studio. Everyone can relax. All right, let's get started because I saw this cover. Is Ellen a monster? Us Weekly. This week, it's finally come to light.
Oh my God, I saw it too at the grocery store in the aisle. I'm like, she hates that. This is one of those things that feels like the second best kept secret in Hollywood or whatever, right? Harvey Weinstein, everyone knew about him too,
right.
And then everyone acted like they didn't. But this is another thing that it's like forever. I mean, I've been working in Hollywood for over a decade now, and ever since I started, I can remember hearing that you don't want to work for Ellen. She is not a nice person.
I've never heard anything positive about her from early on. And of course, at first I didn't believe it because, it's easy to just label people a bitch. It's easy to say they're a bitch, they're difficult. But I mean, the stories have come out for many years now. Where there's smoke, there's fire. I'm sorry. And it's not like it's not within the realm of possibility. There's a lot of money here. She's protected. Her show is produced through Telepictures, which is through Warner Brothers, which also operates and owns TMZ. They control the media narrative. So this is why we have not heard people go on the record. And of course, guests like Jennifer Aniston, they're not going to bother to go out and badmouth Ellen. They just show up, do a guest spot, promote a book, and peace out. It's the people that she's working with that are speaking out.
Right, and that's what makes me believe it, is, what I mean? The small people, first of all, they really have a lot to lose. They're not going to go spread some lies about Ellen. Mm-hmm. So I think there's a credibility thing there that makes me go, oh, those are my people. Okay. And also, the stories that are coming out are not just she's tough to work with. It's not just this is a powerful woman who just doesn't have time to be overly polite or to coddle anyone.
Right.
That I could completely understand.
Yeah.
Totally. But this goes so far as a waitress at one of my favorite restaurants almost got fired because her fingernail polish was chipped, and Ellen took time out of her money-making life to write a letter to the manager of the restaurant about this girl's fingernails. It's that's the kind of manipulative, control freaky stuff that makes me think you really are a bad person. What makes Ellen have to come for a waitress at Real Food Daily in West Hollywood? Come on.
I mean, it doesn't look good. I'm looking at a legal pad here. I have about maybe 20 lines worth of stuff that we could talk about. But there is a meme. It says, 2 things you learn about LA. The traffic sucks and Ellen is mean. There's a meme out there. It's something like that. And I mean, it's true. And, I have a family member who just moved out here, and she is totally against the story. She says, Ellen is here to only spread love and a positive message. And, I'm just look, it's within the realm. There are people who have done far worse things in higher positions or lower positions than Ellen. So, accept that maybe it might be true. Because, like I said, where there's smoke, there's fire.
And you can't deny what she's done with her staff in the last few weeks since she started producing her show from home. Like, that we know for a fact that she laid people off. She wasn't kind about it. She didn't communicate in the way people expected her to. People have worked for her for a long time. And the way that you treat the people who make you look good says an awful lot about you.
And that's the thing I want to say. So Us Weekly, yes, Us Weekly is so quick to drag Meghan Markle through the mud. And, you know, we love a good rag. I live for a good rag, a Globe. Oh, it's fantastic. It's so trashy. But Variety is a trade magazine for the industry, and they're not exactly a gossip magazine. You know, so they talked about what Christy's mentioning here about just her staff being laid off, the way it was handled, which was bad. I mean, the crew members are outraged basically about the treatment that they never received written communication of their status. This is for almost over a month. Well, yeah, it was. And now they hired a non-union crew to produce her remote shows from her house. So that's another kind of slap in the face to a crew that's loyal.
Yeah. Yeah, what does she think's going to happen when she does have to get back in the studio again? You know, this is someone who has so much money behind her that she really does seem to think that she can treat people however she pleases.
I think she's so entitled, she'll just walk right in and expect everybody to hit their marks. I think that's what it will be like. Not saying it's right. But yeah, I mean, there are a couple of different things. I don't know if you heard about this, but this comedian, Kevin T. Porter, he put out on Twitter earlier this year. He's like, look, I'll make a donation in exchange for stories about Ellen. She's one of the, quote, meanest people alive, which I think this is kind of mean-spirited. But hey, 2,000 replies followed. So...
yeah, so you can't deny that. And yeah, it's sort of like what was his motivation in kind of outing this?
Right.
But are people being fooled? You know what I mean? Yeah. If someone was a diehard fan of Ellen, like your relative who just moved here, you know, don't they feel like they're being scammed a little bit by her being this faux nice person on TV? I
mean, again, I just think it's within the realm of possibility. I just don't think you can write it off as like it's just lies. Mm-hmm. The message is to be kind to one another, but I mean, you gotta follow the money here. She knows her worth, mm-hmm. and you know the stuff that she did with her crew was lousy. Other people like Jimmy Kimmel, I don't care for him as a comedian, but hey, he paid his crew out of his own pocket. And, you know, Ellen, according to this article, she makes $50 million a year at this deal that she has with Telepictures, and she's worth $330 million. So someone who's on a union rate, give them some money. They've made you look good for a long time, and they've made you a lot of money. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, there's so many different things about, like, there was a YouTuber that came on and said that she was cold and distant. I mean, there's Nikki, so many different things, but... yeah. I don't want to like slam her character, but I'm just kind of presenting the facts as I see them. And in my opinion, my rant is that I think she's probably a nightmare to work with. I remember hearing things early on, like, you know, you've got a small window as a writer on that show to really make her laugh, that she'll, you know, reject things real fast. Like, you know, the pressure is high to really appeal to her. And it's no way to run a writer's room.
No, or also a marriage. Makes me wonder what day-to-day it's like to be Portia de Rossi. Just saying.
Well, there's been some rumors that it's been rocky over there.
Yeah, they've kind of battled those rumors persistently over the years.
Yeah.
And Portia just doesn't come across as a very happy person overall, which, you know,
and, you know, I loved her on Arrested Development. Yeah. And I feel bad for her. But here's the thing. So Ellen, another comment, she said that it's like living in a prison. She's in a $27 million house at the time of making the comment. She owns several other homes. You know, they own homes all through Montecito and Santa Barbara and all of the like, beautiful places. So if Portia was unhappy, I mean, she'd probably be more than fine. They own multiple homes. I mean, and assets alone, her life would probably be unchanged. So I don't know. I mean, if that is true, then like just get out.
That's a good point. Ellen, though, also seems like the kind of person who gets an ironclad prenup, doesn't she?
Yeah, but Portia had to come up with some assets of her own.
Yeah, and I guess they've maybe been together for long enough where there'd be a little more equitable division of the assets.
Yeah, and like maybe they put both of their names on the deeds to these homes. I have no idea. But yeah, kind of disappointing for some people. Not a surprise to many. I put the Us Weekly magazine cover on my Instagram, and I can't tell you how many DMs I got of people who are like, yup, Yep, I heard about this. Yeah.
Wow, and she has not responded at all, right?
She must be
hasn't said a
pissed. Her
word.
publicist is probably definitely fired. Because the press this year alone for her has not been very good. I mean, this stuff, if it's true, it catches up to you. So I don't think it's going to make a hell of a difference because she makes a lot of money.
Right, and I don't know that she ever will acknowledge it. I think for people like that who are sort of pompous to think they can do whatever they want, they also think, if I just don't give this any legs, no one's going to believe it. Nobody's going to care.
Right.
Because I'm me, and I'm important and rich and successful.
Exactly. And another thing my family member mentioned was just like to respect all that she did for the gay community. I mean, yes, I get it, but it doesn't mean that you're an angel. You can still be an ass and be gay.
Correct. And like you mentioned the story about the YouTuber, that was a YouTuber who had just come out, Nikki Tutorials, as being transgender. And she had caused such a splash with that. That was earlier this year that Ellen had her on the show. And from this girl explaining her experience on the show, she didn't get a lot of respect from Ellen. Someone who could really relate to being in that world of kind of being a pioneer, being the first one to come out and say, hey, Ellen came out and said, I'm gay. This girl came out and said, hey, I'm transgender.
A lot of this, too, has to be viewed upon, in all fairness to Ellen, who I believe is probably a monster. In all fairness to her, I mean, these decisions like paying crew and all this stuff, she has an EP credit, so she could definitely have a voice at the table with this. But there are other people there who oversee day-to-day production and could have handled this better. So, I mean, I got to be fair on both sides. It's Hollywood talk after all.
Yeah, the publicist should have done something about all of that.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. Let's talk about Vanderpump Rules.
Yes,
why not?
always.
I know that you love it. I watched the most recent episode. I have missed quite a few in between. But there's this editor. Did you hear about this now?
Oh, I have been all over this.
This editor, Bree Dellinger. Now, I've heard their name said as a male and female. So I don't know if it's Bry. It could be Bry.
Most of the reports, or all the reports I've read, have identified her as being a woman, a female.
Okay, because I just read one that was all he. Because I thought it was Bree. Like, I saw a photo. I assumed it was a female, but I didn't want to assume. So that's why I'm floating this out there.
Right. Well, I hate that we have to question it because the episodes in question, got pulled and are not available anymore. That's why. Right.
This podcast that this person appeared on, the name of it was Twisted Plot Podcast. Now it's no longer available. But they said that this person goes out of their way to embarrass Sheena with the cuts that they choose to use. And it gets like, Christy and I are fans of Sheena.
I mean, this girl legit said, it is my favorite thing to do to find Sheena's most embarrassing moments and figure out a way to fit them in the episode. She elaborated to talk about the most recent, I think, Sheena embarrassment would be her and Stassi's 13-year-old brother sitting at the dinner table and them kind of making it almost look like Sheena was hitting on the brother. This girl outrightly admitted that she took an interview of Sheena talking about something else, about dating a 21-year-old, and put it in here to make the conversation between her and the 13-year-old brother seem very awkward and a little questionable. I mean, the way that this girl went in and admitted to doing that, which is what we've all suspected for years. We've seen Sheena get a horrible edit. And on YouTube, it's like Sheena's 10 most awkward moments every other week from Bravo.
Yeah, they just love to lead into this. And that's the whole thing. I mean, is this editor solely responsible? No. She was really quick to point the finger at Bravo and the executives and the executive producer of the show, saying like, look, like, but she's, she's taking instructions. She didn't say I'm following orders, but like, she also said it was her favorite thing to do. So it seems pretty gross to me. I just enjoy Sheena. I know people don't, but I think maybe because I feel for her and I can see through this like agenda edit. And yes, I mean, they're all ridiculous. So I don't know why we need to make her just look like a dumbass.
Well, and not only do we just see her worst moments, and this would be more on the executives and not on the editor specifically, but we don't see her good stuff. We don't see the successes that she's had. We don't see the things that she's been able to do outside of the show. We haven't seen that from anybody except for Stassi. And one of the things this editor also said was that she was following orders from the network to give Stassi and Beau a quote-unquote hero edit, as in they want to see them, admitted that Bravo wanted to see them in every episode and wanted them to look good. Yeah. Almost to the point where there's been a little chatter that it seems like maybe if there is a spinoff, I'm wondering if they're thinking it's going to revolve around Stassi and Beau. And then that's a way to keep kind of the other peripheral characters around a little bit. Or maybe they're testing that with giving Stassi and Beau this hero edit this season. But, it was more than just throwing Sheena under the bus. It was making it clear how much they can manipulate what we see in our opinions of people.
Right. And the cast now, they're not too thrilled by this, figuring that they're appearing on an ensemble show. They're seeing the favoritism now, and they're not about it. Mm-hmm. And it has to put people like Stassi and Beau in an awkward position because they didn't ask for this edit. Right. So now they're like highly favored, which is nice, but like now they're looking like bad compared to everybody else. In the retrospect, I mean, they're looking great on the show, but I don't really love this show, and I certainly don't like Stassi, and I don't watch for her, and I don't watch for Beau. So for me, it doesn't make a difference either way.
This season has been the most contrived, the most clearly.
This season was a mess.
I mean, I don't want to say fake, but the most faked stuff. Just like they were almost being lazy about it. Like they weren't even trying to hide the fact that, there's these convenient things that happen, and the cameras are here now, and this box has my dildos in it. It's just like,
I think a lot of it has
let's try to pretend like there's still some authenticity.
Yeah, and it was just bored under an unlucky star this season because they have those two guys on there. The start of the season, they put out those tweets were revealed, the racist tweets. So it already, like the new additions, we weren't invested in. I think those two guys are really lousy guys. Yeah. I mean, I don't even root for them. I don't even want to see them. No. So as far as like banking the future of the show on these new faces, I mean, it doesn't look very hopeful.
No, I think the women that we haven't seen a lot from, Danica and Charlie specifically, I think they could be really great if they got some more attention, but they're going to have to completely overhaul the male cast of the show.
100%. Yeah. This editor also said, if Sheena knows what's good for her, she'd befriend me because it's my favorite game, like you said, of finding all the embarrassing things with Sheena and putting them all in. So and she talks about trying to befriend Stassi, who didn't give her the time of day. This person just sounds sad. I'm sorry.
Well, because they didn't want to be friends with her at the rap party for a season, she says. Like, she tried to introduce herself to Sheena and Stassi, and they didn't pay that much attention to her, but they should have. Like, this is a very sad, desperate little girl on a power trip who I'm sure Hollywood has beat her up too, but you know what? This is not the way to deal with it, Brie.
I mean, I will say I work with talent every day at work, and some of them are great to me, but I would never cross the line of expecting them to be friends. I'm not trying to be on a text basis with these people. I enjoy them greatly, but like there's a line, and I certainly don't have expectations of becoming friends with somebody just because I'm producing a show with them.
Yeah. They don't. It's not like they owe her anything.
Yeah. So now, here we are. Basically, you mentioned the podcast disappeared. She was now fired, and she wrote an open letter saying, basically this doesn't change anything because it's still up to Bravo and the executive producers. So, and you guys who want to get me fired, congratulations, it was useless or something to that effect. So a little bitter, but
also that's not some Bravo Svengali statement. So that means that they didn't give her some kind of a fat check to shut her mouth and go away and be quiet. Yeah. They cut her off and shut her down.
Yeah,
which they should.
Yeah, I mean, but at the same time, she is correct in saying, she was an editor. She wasn't the sole decision maker. So, I mean, as far as agenda editing goes, it will never end.
True.
So, whatever. The cast is upset.
Let's hope the next editor that's going out of their way to make Sheena look bad is doing it because that's what they were told to do, not because they're being petty because she wouldn't be their friend.
Right. Agreed. It's stupid.
Love you, Shishi.
Yes, hashtag justice for Sheena. That was trending and as well deserved. After all these years, help a girl out.
Right? Ugh. And if we could get an invite to that Palm Springs house, I am down.
I know they look like they're nice having so much fun. That's a success. Mm-hmm. Show that.
And her new man, I'm sure she is bothered by all this, and she has a right to be, but she just certainly doesn't need to be. She's doing just fine.
Yeah. When we come back, let's take a look at. I can't believe I'm going to say it. The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Woo woo!
Ooh. And then a few other things. That and more in a moment. Now this.
You're listening to Grant's Rants. Subscribe and spread the word. There are a lot more rants to come. Listen anytime on all major podcasting platforms. And now, back to the show.
And we're back on the podcast with Christy Olson, perhaps one of my longest friendships in LA now.
Yeah, you know, I was just thinking about that yesterday, how lucky I am to have great friends here. You're at the top of that list. And just people always think LA is this place where everyone's trying to stab each other in the back and no one has real friends. And that just is the opposite of what I've experienced here. And, you know, I'm just always glad we can support each other.
Yeah. Well,
and do each other's podcasts and stuff.
Yeah. It's always good to talk to you. I mean, we're so in sync on so many of these things. And we talk offline a lot about just like content creation and how things are changing. I mean, from the moment I started this podcast till now, it's just like shifted so much. So I'm always kind of consulting with you about things, new directions, and, you know, I want to make the show a little more personal. So like that's something we talked about, and, you know,
you're the most go-getter that I know. It's inspiring.
I'm still going. I'm still going. Oh God, I don't know. But thank you. I'm glad to always be reinventing, keeping the show fresh. Thank you for the people who are still listening, because there's so many choices right now. It's ridiculous. So I know a lot of people are struggling to maintain their audiences. So, you know, I get it. Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I don't even know what to say. Now listen, I have watched the first 2 episodes. I know. I said to people it would not be happening. It doesn't mean I enjoyed them. What it means is I was petty AF, because I waited 3 weeks, and so that way it would not count as a rating. Or even though I still had to sit through commercials, so they're still making money off my ass. But all right, I watched the first 2 episodes. I don't have much of a thought process behind it. It looks like this Garcelle is filming separately, which is a mistake. I don't know why she's full time. Where the Sutton person, I really seem to care for, and like, again, all these people who are friends of doing all the heavy lifting, not getting the paycheck. So this show still has not figured out how to produce the show properly. It drives me crazy.
Well, couple things.
Sure, I'm open.
Despite your evil plans, Grant, the ratings have been better than ever. And the Housewives claim it is the top show on Bravo. I think that's got to be New York, so I don't know. But either way, they claim the numbers are good. I'm sorry to break it to you. Yeah. Another thing, Garcelle.
Well, that's a positive thing, I will say, because it shows that the LVP effect had no effect at all. But go ahead.
That's true. And, you know, I'm LVP for life. But with Garcelle, I think they were counting on her to bring in some other big names. We saw her with Allie Larder or Allie Landry. Is she making it? Landry, yes. Last week. I'd love to see her on the show. So I think maybe the filming Garcelle separately is because they're trying to keep her seeming like the star of the cast or something. And with Sutton, I also am disappointed that she got downgraded, because whether we love her or hate her, we're going to have a strong feeling one way or the other. Yeah. I'm not sure yet which camp I'm going to be in.
It's still early because I've only seen 2.
Well, and so reportedly with her, it was that we aren't going to be able to see her children and her home life. I'm guessing this is the ex-husband wouldn't let them on camera, which is something that we see happen all the time.
All the time.
That's why she said it didn't make sense to really see her, because you didn't see much of her, but that she's hoping that'll change in the future.
Well, I'm about to go on a rant with this whole Sutton thing, because we have seen countless housewives before that we haven't even seen their faces of the spouses. We've seen housewives in the past who cannot show their kids. Tamra hasn't been able to show her kids for the last 10 years on her show. To me, this is lazy. I don't understand why they would not feature her full time. They even shot her opening, the gallery images. This seems to be ridiculous. It's lazy. It's okay that we don't see her, feed her kids or talk about homework. I don't need to see those scenes. I'm okay. Put her on. She's really earned her spot. They've had to know that if this was a last minute decision, when they started filming back in the fall, they had to know that she was going to be polarizing and heavily featured on the show. So I don't buy this. To me, that's a production excuse. Give her the full-time status and the paycheck that comes along with it. I don't agree with this.
I have to say, I'm questioning her just a little bit, and I'm curious to see what you have to say about this, because you know Housewives better than anybody. I was a little concerned at first, the first episode with her, and even into the second and third, that she was trying too hard. that isn't who she really is. She was trying to be a housewife. She was trying to cause drama. She was trying to tell Teddy she's boring. Well, that's what everybody says about Teddy all the time.
Right.
You know, having issues with Lisa Rinna's hairstylist, like all that just seemed really trumped up. You know, the king of reality TV. It was trumped up. And so I worried about her authenticity. But now I'm starting to think that's who she really is. And it's also unusual for us to not get like a sweetheart edit for the first season of A Housewife, right? We always love everyone their first season on. Think Erica Jane, think Lisa Rinna.
Garcella apparently is getting good at it.
Yeah, even Dorit's first season, she didn't seem that bad. You know, it's like they want us to like the person, and the fact that they're giving us so much unlikable stuff of Sutton, maybe they're okay with us hating her. Maybe they're going to kind of use her up a little bit and, you know, don't care if they can even see her family and stuff. Maybe she's going to kind of be used for the drama. Then at the end of the season, be told that she's too much of a pot stirrer and they're not going to have her back. You know,
well,
I could go a lot of ways with her right now.
It sounds like they need her. Another thing I've heard just through Twitter and Instagram is that it seems that Kyle is not very favored this season. It seems that people have really fallen off the Kyle train. Is this part of the OG resentment? People seem to be very resentful of these OGs, which some I am all for. I don't have any strong feelings. To me, I don't like any of the women on this show. So I don't care for any of them. They all tie for last for me, except for Teddy. She's really dead last.
Well, the problem with Kyle is that we're just seeing so much of her. And she is so incredibly unlikable that when you get her, especially in big doses, you realize that. You know, I wasn't sure how people didn't notice that before in every other season. But apparently they didn't, because she does have a lot of fans. And, you know, I don't know that it's even necessarily her. I think if we met Kyle in real life or knew her IRL, we might think she's a much different person than we see on the show. But she's not look good on the show. She looks like a petty, mean girl, you know, Hollywood kind of wannabe. She looks very selfish, very self-centered, very egotistical. Like she thinks so highly of herself, and just in big doses, it's too much. They almost made her the main character of the season. And first of all, there shouldn't be one. You know, but they made the whole premiere about her fashion show and them all going to New York when it's Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And we're not going to like Kyle anymore as the season goes on, because we're going to continue to see a lot of her, because I think they felt like that she was replacing LVP.
I don't know. See, I don't know what to do with this show, because I really don't have an interest in continuing to watch. And I probably won't. Maybe we'll peek at a few things. I'll look at the Brandy stuff. To me, I mean, you know, what Kyle calling Denise a ragamuffin. I mean, you know, this
Twice.
To me is such petty, low-grade drama. I mean, I guess it's better than being fake, but it's barely watchable, in my opinion.
But it just made it so clear how much better Kyle thinks she is than Denise Richards.
Well, I don't care for her either.
Actress. Well, no, but she certainly has accomplished a lot more as an actress. And
Denise Richards is a
areas
household
of
name,
life.
where Kyle is a Bravo household name. I feel
Exactly.
like, you know, I think Kyle believes she's household. Maybe she is now, but like when she joined season 1 with her sister, like I mean, she was Paris Hilton's aunt at best. And I noticed they threw her in there in that premiere episode. They finally got a Paris appearance, which I appreciated.
Yeah.
It only took them how many years?
But, you know, she wants to throw Auntie a bone.
Yeah. Oh man, this show. Well, I don't know what else to say other than I don't watch the Kardashians because I don't care for any of them. And I've never talked about them on this show. So I don't really care for any of these women. So I just can't justify continuing to watch. But I'll keep an eye open and share my thoughts and opinions as it progresses, as big things. I don't know how to handle this one.
Well, I think it's going to continue to get messier. More things that happen behind the scenes are going to start to come out. Apparently, a lot of the drama around Denise was really about the mean things she said about the other ladies, not about her lying about the alleged affair with Brandy. So I think with you two, I always want to know your take on what like really went down. You know, so once we kind of find out what was happening when the cameras weren't rolling more so, there'll be more interesting conversation than what we saw on the show.
Yeah, I mean, Denise, she's coming across, just from what I've been hearing, she comes across kind of like as a mean person this season. So I don't know if that's the truth, because just the way she handled, I only saw her with the waiter in New York.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know. I'm all for it if someone wants to go in there Brandy style and just call them all out of their name. I'm all for that in a way. So we'll see. I don't know, though. I think that when it comes down to it, Denise will be completely quiet. And I think she's just going to sit in the chair in front of the green screen and not say a word.
Oh, yeah. Like how they've made such a huge deal out of that final interview or whatever. Yeah, I think so too. She's going to sit there with that smirk.
Yeah, I just don't know what to say. I don't know. I'm enjoying New York. And if you want to listen to me talk about New York, I have a rundown every week on the same feed of this podcast that I could talk about. Beverly Hills, I don't know. Even with the time that we have, I just don't know if it's worth it for me. I don't know. I'm not as angry as I thought. I thought it would really piss me off.
Yeah.
Because I just really don't care for the show.
There's shows that do that for me.
Yeah, I hate watch so much TV, and I was like, I don't need another one. And I honestly, it was just so light. It was so unnecessary. It was almost like barely worth it. It didn't really get me nervous or upset. I still am disappointed of what the show could be and what it was, but I think we just gotta kind of accept it.
Yeah, I think I would miss it from my life. Like, I'll just keep watching it because I always have.
Yeah. I do think I'm done with OC, though. I think I'm really done.
Really?
It's just unrecognizable to me.
But doesn't that increase the curiosity factor? Like, even if I think I'm going to hate the new people or not care for the cast or, the fact that the ones that are left don't excite me at all, I still want to see what they're going to do with it.
I don't know. I think the show kind of reached its end for me with the story. I was just kind of like, okay, with the Vicky engagement and Tamara self-producing every moment of every scene. I was kind of like, this has kind of run its course as a show to me, as a creative show. I was like, okay, now we're left with Emily and Gina, and Shannon's there by herself, and Kelly really poisoned that show, and I know people like her, and I do as well, but she turned that show into something that it didn't used to be, and so I'm just kind of done with it.
Yeah, I think that potentially there might be a lot of people that feel that way.
Yeah.
I'm like I said, I'll still watch it, but I'm
good.
concerned.
The ratings were not good, so I really don't know who's going to be flocking back to the show. And I say this all the time. This new audience, especially the new young demo that they want, I just don't know if they're going to show up for Emily and Gina.
No, I don't think so. They maybe would have shown up with Shane and Colton season 1, like when we saw more of their families. And,
right.
It has just changed so much from anything that I think younger people could really identify with.
Yeah, I think this is like the whole franchise, and this is not to offend anybody, but I think it's kind of moving more towards an older generation, kind of like the soap operas. And look, I love to watch some of the soaps, but I just think, the coveted demos they want, people that are in college right now, they're not watching OC Housewives.
No, because it feels like watching your mom get drunk with her friends, and like, who wants to see that? You know what I mean?
Unless if they're watching it with other friends or like their parents, like their mom, and like they're into the whole meme culture. I'm sure there are people who watch it that are of that age. But I'm just saying, is it going to catch on because we got rid of Vicky to lower the median age and we put another young mom on there? No.
And no matter what the ratings are, Vicky's going to be saying they're bad. So much. She's going to be shouting it from her megaphone loud that we won't really know. Everyone will just think it's doing poorly, and it'll just have to go away because Vicky said so.
I can't believe some of the people she's had on there. Just like, I don't know. I think you need to have a strong direction when you're going to do one of these shows, and I don't know what hers is.
Man, I wish she had you. She needs you.
I could produce a show for her, but maybe I'm good where I am. I don't know. Oh, anyway.
Well, meanwhile, all the other Bravo celebrities have gotten super consistent with their podcasts. So they're just, like you said, there's so much to listen to.
There are too many Bravo podcasts right now. It's crazy. And so that's why I always keep it fresh here with mixing up a big bowl of hot pop culture mess, including Slayyyter, Slayyyter. This is a pop music artist, and she just fits in with the tone of this show so much. I felt like I had to bring her up. So I discovered her through Instagram. I follow an account. It's at Paris 2000s, and it's all Paris and Nicole Richie just walking through Hollywood and posing for people, giving the middle finger. It's all from like 2002 to 2006. Or 07. We'll say 07. We'll extend it that far. And they had this song to the background track of Gimme More, which of course my ears are like, Gimme More is number one. And so she did kind of a cover / Slayyyter remix to the same Britney track. And she talks about Paris, and there she is with Nicole Richie posing in this old clip, fantastic, when paparazzi actually existed in the city. And I was like, who is this? So I did a bunch of research, and she's a pop culture artist. All of her work is completely inspired by Paris, Britney, Lindsay, and Heidi Montag, circa 07. It's all kind of in homage to that era. And some of her songs...
Our golden age, Grant.
Yes. The beats sound similar to like Clips and like Britney and old stuff. So there's this one song, Devil, that's like they say is like Slave for You, but like to me it's just like all Britney rolled into one. So good. This is not clean music. So if you're interested in hearing this around kids or anything, like this is some filthy stuff.
NSFW.
For sure. But it's funny. I love listening to it because just she goes there. She's so unapologetic. Basically, what I love about this chick is there's no record label involved because she's all about the masters. So we look at Taylor Swift, who had to buy back her own music that she wrote. So this girl Slayyyter writes all of her own music. And now is it is it the same caliber of Taylor Swift? No, she's not Dolly Parton. She's singing about getting high and like hooking up with
Erica
guys.
Jane's music vibes.
Yeah. So they're entertaining tracks. They're not exactly going to win Grammys, which is great.
Right.
Perfect.
Not what she's going for.
Yeah. So, but she wants to own her own music, which I think is fine. So she's created all of her own music at the apartment closet that she had. She's produced her own stuff from what she learned on YouTube. So why should someone come in now and own all of her music? Mm-hmm. She's finding success. She has done some live shows. So, I say all the power to her. I like that she's not selling out to like Warner Brothers Records.
I have mad respect for that as someone who kind of feels like they've been through the ringer with being under contract or being for a network or being, told what to say, and then also creating my own, entertainment news site and channel in 2009 before anyone else was doing that, and always knowing that that's where I want to be, where I'm controlling the questions that I ask and the content that I put out. And there's just a part of your soul that you lose when someone else owns something that you created. Yeah. Right? That would be like you doing Rants for some huge network and having to answer to an executive all of a sudden about what to cover and who to have on your show. Like, there's just so much less heart in something like that. Like, I think you're just always going to get so much more authentic music from someone like Slayyyter. Like, gosh, I just have so much respect
like it.
For
That's
that.
what that was just like everything I was reading about her. I just liked her even more. That was a big thing. The fact that they were like, who could you write for if you could write for anybody? And she said Heidi Montag, not Gaga. Not Ariana. She's like Heidi, who isn't even performing anymore. So I just love that she just said, yeah, this is like me. This is what I enjoy. And she's like so unapologetic. I like it. It's very refreshing to see. And of course, she's paying homage to the era that was like defining. I'm sorry, go back and listen to Give Me More. That song is timeless. The beat's still not dated. It still holds up. I mean, to me, it's just everything.
And just when you say Give Me More, I can just picture Britney and the video
spinning
and just
around that
everything that
pole.
I was that year, like listening to it on my iPod.
Yes.
iPods?
Yes.
Like that stuff just takes you back there.
It does, and so does her music. And so I was just like so happy to see this, because sometimes I feel like now more than ever, kind of like I've been focusing on the past because it's just like some type of comfort, and everything right now is just awful. And so I just feel like for me, I'm going back and looking at old seasons of Gossip Girl. I love the old Britney stuff. But I'm not a person that lives in the past. I don't want to be. I always like to be on I've talked about it for now 157 episodes of current events. I don't love living in the past, but there's something about that era.
The past. I'm like that too, right? Yeah. Like we never say like, oh, remember when we used to do this 5 years ago?
Yeah, I don't really do a whole throwback Thursday thing. No. So
we're looking ahead, baby.
Yeah, so exactly, all about the future. But it's very comforting, and I just love that she recognizes the brilliance of that era and what it did for music, the way that we have. And I mean, on this show alone, we've gone deep into the whole timeline of the Paris, Lindsay, Britney in the car, and like just that everything stems from back then in my life. And I just enjoy it, but I don't want to be someone that's like stuck on one note. Mm-hmm. Life goes on, even though pop culture is not what it used to be. But Slayyyter, I encourage you guys to listen to it if you want. I'm really
and let's just support someone like that who's doing it on her own.
Yeah, she looks great. I love the music. Some of the stuff is like, I've already put on my Badass Bitches playlist, which is like that you have to earn. You have to earn to be on there. And I'll tell you who's not on there is Lindsay Lohan, Back to Me. So that song needs, like I said before on this podcast, that is not a badass song. Sorry. Xanax, though, is on there. Anyway, let's talk really briefly, but it doesn't need to be brief. We got time. Let's talk with Christy, and I want to hear about some videos that you have coming up on YouTube. Yeah. You've really, you've focused so much on this YouTube. You've built out quite an audience, and this is your thing now.
Yeah, and one of my fun kind of niches that I've been doing for a lot of years that always go over really well are the trailers explain videos, right? So especially the last season I did was Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. When that comes out, you can count on me to cut it up, tell you what's really going on. You'll get some spoilers if you're the kind of person that's what you're looking for. I'm your girl. And this week coming up, I've embraced this whole Zoom interview thing now as well. So I have Tracy Tudor from $1 Million Listing LA coming up this week. She actually divulged to me that she was diagnosed with COVID at one point and dealt with that. I do
like
too.
Her on the show.
And she's someone that we don't get to know her personally very well on the show. So I was just so excited to chat with her and kind of get to know her a little bit. And she is really fantastic. She's one of those people that you follow on Instagram because they inspire you, and because you love $1 Million Listing LA. So she's coming up. And then, we were talking about Vanderpump Rules. You guys know I'm always all over that cast. The girl named Kara, I don't know if you saw this one. She hooked up with Max when they were in Vegas. She is a cocktail waitress at Vanderpump Garden. In Las Vegas. They call her like Sheena number 2. She looks like Sheena, sounds like her. She's sweet just like Sheena. And she is going to cause some major drama, or someone else is going to cause drama that she gets in the middle of. I'm not sure yet this week on the show. And I have an interview with her coming out on Tuesday. Just right as you are watching that episode, you can hear what she had to say about it.
Smart.
So, yeah.
That's a good get.
I'm excited about that. Anytime I can sit on my couch and watch my favorite shows and think I want to be able to ask that person, watch and go, but wait, why did that happen? Or why did they do that? They aren't explaining this. I want to be able to go to that person and ask them that. And I figure I can't be the only one who wants those answers. So I'm out there trying to get them for you.
Well, I'm curious to know how she views Max right now.
Yeah, because she made some offhanded comment about I wasn't tired from you or something that made me feel like maybe she wasn't so fulfilled from her evening with Max. So you can bet that'll be one of my first questions.
Yeah. The two of them, those two guys. I hope to never see them again.
Well, it's like one's douchier than the next. No one can tell them apart.
Yeah.
The other one keeps whining about his ex-girlfriend and it's too much.
Yeah. And there's going to be this virtual reunion for Vanderpump Rules with a cast of 20 people. I was going to say, I don't envy the editor, but we won't go there. We already discussed the editor or one of them. So good luck.
Oh yeah. Is it going to take an extra week to get that out now that they're down an editor?
Yeah. That's crazy.
They all swear the reunion is still crazy, even though it's virtual. And I don't watch Atlanta, but it seems like those ladies are serving up a pretty decent virtual reunion right now, right? So I'm going to have my high hopes. Mostly I just want it to be over so that the cast isn't on embargo anymore and they can do interviews.
Right, yeah.
I kind of slid in there with Kara, but the rest of them have to keep quiet now until the reunion airs.
Wow. Check it out. Where can people find these videos?
Check out my YouTube channel. It is called Christy Reports with a C. And you can also always check out ChristyReports.com to get the whole story.
This was fun. Thank you for ranting with me.
It's always
fun.
Nice Thank you for having me.
I hope you guys stay well, stay healthy. I love you for listening. And as always, we'll be back with more rants.
This has been Grant's Rants. Support the Rants on Patreon at patreon.com/Grant's Rants. Follow Grant on Twitter and Instagram at It's Grant's Rants. Cover art created by Howie Ronay. Original theme music by Alexander Arntzen. The Grant Michael Collection.